our log cabin, and right now I'm getting the temperatures just right on our wood burning cook stove. We got a lot of new subscribers, and so a lot of you guys may not have seen me cook on our wood burning cook stove. We have a Pioneer Princess that we got from layman's.com, and not only do I cook on this and we heat our house with it, we also get our hot water from this thing. Good girl, come on. Isn't Molly getting so big? She's already 16 pounds. And she likes the garden. So today we're going to get some kale out of the garden, because with these frosts, that bitterness of kale definitely goes away and it's so much more tender. So we're going to make a delicious kale chip that I have a special magic ingredient that makes it over the top. Some of you guys might have remembered earlier I had done a garden tour and my kale had gotten eaten up by the cabbage worms. So I went ahead and just buzz cut them. I just cut them all down, and look at them. They're looking great right now. They're rocking. So what I'm going to do is use some of this kale, and I'm going to make some really good, yummy kale chips. All you need is a couple bunches of kale, good organic kale. So of course we grow it here, but if you don't have access to a garden, you can get some organic kale at the grocery store. So you probably need 2 bunches to do this recipe for the kale chips that I'm going to do today. And of course, if you have farmers markets in the area, this time of year is great. The kale is just rocking. So get it from farmers market, grocery store, or grow it at your home. Now I love kale because kale is one of the most nutrient dense foods in the whole entire world. It is loaded with vitamin A, which is great for your skin. It's good for your hair. It's just amazing. It's loaded in vitamin C that's great for your immune system. And I know a lot of people these days have bleeding gums. That is a deficiency of vitamin C. So maybe up your vitamin C, eat some kale because it is really high in it. Kale is also really high in calcium. It is higher in calcium than milk. Kale is also good like for detoxification. It's great for your liver to detoxify. And it also has a lot of omega-3 fatty acids, and it's good for your inflammation. And here's a really good note about kale. It has more iron than beef. So if you're a vegan and you're not doing any meat products, this is a great thing to be adding to your diet. Come on, Molly. She doesn't want to come because she's eating a hot chili pepper and she's not even thinking it's hot. Oh, here she comes. Are you ready? Come on. Come on. That's a good girl. Come on, let's make some kale chips. All right, come on. Come on, Molly. Come on, girl. Good girl. The great thing about making these kale chips is what you're going to coat them with. Now the coating here, I'm going to use this almond butter, and that totally takes it over the top and makes it taste so good. Because I used to make these and they tasted all right, but until I started doing the almond butter a few years ago, a friend of mine, Doreen, had given me the idea to start doing this, and I thought, oh my gosh, what a great idea. And I started doing it and it just really tastes amazing. So let's go ahead and get started. 2 tablespoons of almond butter, tablespoon of extra virgin olive oil, garlic powder, 1/2 teaspoon, chili powder, 1/2 teaspoon, cumin, 1/2 teaspoon, 1/8 teaspoon of cayenne pepper. Gonna mix it up. So here's a little note. When you guys are making your sauces or anything, you know, cooking is just never the same when you're cooking. So the almond butter might be thicker or might be thinner, and if you have a thicker almond butter, you might want to add a little bit more olive oil because you want it to get it to be a consistency that you can kind of drizzle over when we're going to coat our leaves. Now it's all mixed up, and I'm going to add some salt. I'm going to probably add 1/2 teaspoon of salt. And I like to use Redmond unrefined salt because it is unrefined. It has not been bleached. It doesn't have any caking agents in it. And it's from the United States. Now I have my sauce that has a nice texture to it. And I'm going to be ready to coat my leaves. So now you want to make sure that your kale has been washed and rinsed. And I'm going to go ahead and de-stem this. Now, some people are like, they'll de-stem their kale and then they just throw this away or compost it. Most of your fiber, and you're going to get so much benefit out of the stem. So a lot of times what I'll do is I'll keep the stems and I'll saute them in a little butter and then eat them later on. So Doug and I'll probably have this later tonight with whatever we're having for dinner. But when you do this, and I think a big mistake is people, when they make their kale chips, they have smaller pieces. I'm going to put great big pieces onto my plate. And it's okay, you don't have to get the whole stem out. I mean, just the really thick part. You know, you keep them like that. So, and then this part I'm going to use later. And kale, poor kale gets a bad rap. Some people are like, ooh, gross, I can't, tolerate it. It doesn't taste good because it's bitter. Well, if not, maybe try growing it later in the summer, and do it in a fall garden. Or, you know what? Make some kale chips, because you will be shocked. People that I know that don't even want to eat any greens at all, or don't eat any salads or anything, they love these kale chips. So this is a great way to add a really nutrient-dense food into your diet just by making some of these kale chips. So this is really important when you're doing the chips. You want to make sure each of your leaves is coated with the sauce that we made. And you don't want to have too much sauce on it. So you don't want to have it totally drenched. So I'm going to put a few of these in here, and I'm just going to kind of massage my sauce that I made in each one of the leaves, and I want to make sure that they're coated. This would be an example of having too much sauce on your leaves. You don't want to have that much sauce. Just a light coating like this is better. You don't want it to get soggy like this. So for you, husbands and kids, appreciate it when mom or even dad is making this for you, because a lot of love and hard work goes into this for your health and nutrition. Next, I'm going to go ahead and put my coated leaves onto a baking tray. You can use parchment, or coat it with maybe a little oil, or just, I'm using a Pampered Chef, just the stoneware pan. But you're going to put them on, and it's really important that when you put them on, that you're not overlapping. You just want to put them on so that they have plenty of breathing room. Sort of like if you're going to dehydrate something, you want to make sure they have plenty of. Oops, now see that? That's a little too much. I need plenty of room on the tray. So now it's time to put into a preheated oven, about 325. Works pretty good. You can go anywhere from 300 to 350. Some ovens are a lot warmer. You do not want them to burn, so just kind of watch them. So I go anywhere from like 300, 325, up no more than 350. And I'm going to go about 10 minutes. Now you may need to do, depending how big the leaves were, you might get 3, might get 4 batches. So right now I'm going to do 2 batches, and then I'm going to check them in about 10 minutes. Here's a little note when you're doing these. Some of them are going to get done quicker than other ones. Like these are ready to go. Some of these are a little softer. So I'm going to take the ones that are ready to go, that are crunchy, and put them in an airtight container, and then I'll put the other ones in for a minute or so longer. So I'm just going to put them in here for now. We'll cool off a little bit. I'll probably eat them before they get finished. See, you can hear them. They're crunchy. And of course I have to taste one. They're really, really good. I'm going to also tell you a little secret. I like them when they're still just a little moist like this one is. If I'm going to eat them right away, they will not store. So the ones that are crunchy are the ones that I store in a container, and they'll last quite a few days. But the ones that are soft are the ones that you eat right away. And actually, these are my favorite way to eat them. And then I save the other ones that are crunchy for later. So now I'll put a little ghee in my pan because I'm going to saute those stems from the kale for our dinner tonight. And I have to add garlic to everything. So I'm going to crush some garlic in there. A couple cloves in there to make it taste just perfect. A little nugget, especially about the stems of the kale. It's a prebiotic, and a lot of people are like, what's a prebiotic? Well, basically, prebiotic they're foods that will help feed your good gut, your good bacteria in your gut. So it's good to include these foods into your diet. Onions and garlic are also a great prebiotic. So I always like to add those into my diet because they're so helpful, because we need a good ecosystem going on in our gut. So adding these are just awesome. So I try to get as much as I can in our diet. Do not overcook it. I just put it on there a little bit so it would just kind of shrink down a little bit. I don't want it to burn it or anything. It just is perfect. So there you go. More calcium than dairy products and more iron than beef. It's great for your eyesight, it's good for your skin, it's good for your hair. Kale chips are the way to go. They don't last long here because I eat them up quick, and it's amazing. You saw how much we started with. You know, they shrink down a lot. So what a great nutritious snack that you guys can make at home. Let me know in the comments below if you guys have ever made these before, or maybe you didn't like them. And then leave me a comment if you are going to do it, because I would love to know, because these are amazing. They're kind of addicting. I love them. All right. We'll see you guys later. Have a good one.